Satoshi. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Mine 10 blocks on a blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These dragons selling like they hotcakes. We go to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on a marketplace, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Mine 10 blocks on a blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These dragons selling like they hotcakes. We going to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on a marketplace, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. My ETH costs more than your rent. I spend my life savings, get a 10. Dragons get the hottest coming next. Me and Joe Rose make a bet. All this shit seem new to me. Mix a blockchain with security. Keeping data safe is the fluency. How could you not fuck with the company? It's the best thing since the internet. Shout to Joe Nell on the project. Dragon Days of Summer getting tired yet? All the coin holders flying private jet. Bought a few dragons for retirement. Eileen Quinton, please call me if you got a set. Blockchain bitches, yeah, we eyeing it. The dragon is a leash, and we mining it. Dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Mine 10 blocks on the blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These dragons selling like they hotcakes. We going to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on a marketplace, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Mine 10 blocks on the blockchain. My ETH father for the got paid. These dragons selling like they hotcakes. We going to the moon like we don't got breaks. If you want to transact on the marketplace, dragon chain, dragon chain, dragon chain. Hey. Ooh. It's your boy Young Satoshi. Shout out Joe Rose. Shout out Eileen. Shout out Joe Nell. What up, Crypto Crusader? I see you. Let's do this. 2018 is our year. Ooh.
Wow, I had not seen that whole video in a long time.
That is catchy as fuck, honestly.
It is.
Anyway, all right. Welcome to the 191st episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. Our hosts for today are the Emperor, I am for I am, Domine Imperator Caesar Augustus, and the Emperor of all of Dindos Social and all social media, I do believe, is anyway. We have a much longer title. I don't have time for it. It's only a 2-hour show.
Is it a really long title now?
Yeah,
I think so.
Obviously,
I think so. We have Andrew from the Legacy Right. Zach is out for well, he's out. I don't know if we're allowed to say the reason or not, but he is out. So welcome, Andrew.
We missed you, Zach. He's gonna try to step back in. He said so.
I was hoping he would step back in.
He's probably looking for.
If he has the laughing,
searching the
right?
New York.
That's what we need. We all need to come in after or immediately after a dental appointment and do a show. Also, we have Greg from Rivet, who's challenging I think the Emperor for ownership of the roundtable. And let's see here. We have Aaron Day, the great. Appreciate you coming in as often as you do. It's awesome. Really good stuff. And I think he has a show tonight you'll want to watch as well. So, but we'll get into that later, I'm sure. We have Sean, everyone's best friend, without a D, best friend, and Lisa from the Mighty Lair. Sorry for that long introduction, but thanks everybody for coming. And we're gonna have to kick someone off before the end of the show so that we even up the layout here. But
or add 2 more.
Yes, or we'll just share the share the updates, and then we'll be in a straight line, and everything's great then. Okay, so first up, let's see, we have updates for the World Blockchain Roundtable Layer ownership tokens from last week's episode, which was blockchain solutions for a post-banking and government collapse.
How many tokens did I get? How many tokens did I get?
Here. Every host will receive 95 lot. Every topic contributor 55 lot. Last week's theme was nominated by M4AM for 55 lot reward, and the ownership tokens come with perpetual passive income in the layer, free edits, in the World Blockchain Roundtable layer, which would be pretty useful, right?
Wow.
And governance votes.
Right.
So,
Control.
Get in there and ask a question before we refresh for this week's episode.
Sean, I just want you to know I surpassed you on total lot for this layer, and you've been on this show a lot longer than I have. And I'm just rubbing your nose in it, buddy.
Do you have the most yet, or is it still me?
No, you're still ahead of me, Greg. So
let's
got it for you.
Between the two of us, we could have super-majority power, though.
Yeah.
Let's look real quick.
So coalition.
I think I'm
totally
top,
welcome.
actually. I think I'm top. Looks like Greg is well up there. The roundtable itself, then the Emperor, then Sean. Where else can you beat out the Emperor on any ranking list, right? This is a great place.
Only in a decentralized space.
Look at all these. Look at all these people. This is great.
Distributed power structures.
It's a very well distributed. I would say the model.
It is.
And it was a total experiment when we started it. It's like, okay, if we're going to start this, we should do it this way, and we should make decentralized ownership. And it's like
it's a race to the top too, because it's give more, get more, right? The more you contribute, the more you actually have the power to decide how things are done.
Yep,
exactly.
Awesome thing. It's an awesome thing. Okay, so in other news on the show, let's see here, February theme suggestions are due Sunday. We're going to look real quick if you guys don't mind. So I made a suggestion, and there's a cute dog, it's all good. Non-financial applications of blockchain tech and how to increase exposure of such cases. One of the hardest things in the world to do, I will tell you. GPS crypto, why blockchain is so susceptible to various manipulations, just like traditional stock market exchanges, starting from statements of politicians, public figures, and onwards. How to reduce this to a reasonable measure, right? I have some comments on that. And then Linda. Okay, so then I based about this. That was not a question or not a suggestion, but doesn't matter. Super happy Dragon Lucky for Dragon Chain SEC case updates. Nice. And Kif's Crypto is chiming in here. Something about a boob job. Is that where Zach is? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's where.
Okay, so this week's episode. I don't know. Do we jump right in to the theme of the week, or do we want to cover anything in advance? Is there anything we want to?
Well, I think there's just a brief audible that's worth saying because it's huge, right? We have the incoming SEC leadership openly declaring that they are going to halt or they're going to review everything, and they're probably going to freeze some stuff. They may freeze enforcement altogether. This is good news because the system that was working before is not working, and during this time period, people will be free to really build, which I think is remarkably optimistic for just what you can do as a developer.
Yep.
Who is the incoming? Who's designated as the incoming? SEC?
Adkins. So if you've ever been on the Adkins diet, you know all about the man. He's written some books.
It's the same guy.
And it's all about meat and fats, right? So,
wow.
Yeah, the bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have actually a second one, which is the crypto czar, David Sachs.
That's right, David Sachs.
He's part of the PayPal mafia, I will say. However, he has been pro crypto, and he has Trump's ear, so I think he's going to have some positive influence. However, who knows? He might be also trying to pick winners and losers.
Yeah, does he hold dragon?
I'm going to throw this in here real fast.
Question.
Because I would just listen to, when I went on a long drive, the Founders, which is the story of PayPal. And his role was to focus on intuitive ways to minimize the overhead of spotting genuine fraud. And I think that somebody like that is kind of ideal for all of the pathetic compromises the system's going to make while we continue to build a thing that's going to disrupt the need for any of it.
So you're saying Sam Bankman-Fried Jr. is going to have a hard time making it through?
there's probably not going to be much going on in that office, and that's probably a good thing.
That's good. Yeah. That's awesome.
There was also the announcement of Oklahoma announcing a Bitcoin reserve.
Really?
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
and so considering that the entire U.S. military is banked at a private bank in Oklahoma, I could see some sort of model where the states use their state treasuries, and we move to something like that.
Well, and if you're in the military, I mean, it's probably the well, I don't want to say Bitcoin, crypto at least is probably one of the best ways to actually get your healthcare after you get out, right? Anyway, I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, there's projects like Polis that do employee benefits and group insurance, things like that. There's so many different things out there that are going to be unhindered by the you have to somehow find a way to frame what you do in terms of SEC regulations attitude. It's
well, but if SEC says is freezing regulation, is that them lifting their hands because now there's a crypto czar to handle that?
No, I think they've got corruption to seed out of that whole thing before they can take any steps forward.
Yes, I'm doing an early analysis.
They're disengaging it because they need to check for it.
Sorry to interrupt. I can't offer any final numbers here, but I'm trying to figure out if there are enough lampposts in DC to handle the volume necessary. And I haven't even gotten into the rope side of things, but I know, I think it said there were 385,000 lampposts in DC, which, with a decent schedule might be doable. Anyway, all right, let's see here.
The other piece that is one of the other big kind of embedded anti-crypto voices too has noted their withdrawal date, right? So it's like the 25th. They lose another big anti-crypto voice.
Who was that?
That was I forget exactly the dude's name. It was part of the release on this review that this guy was stepping down, or at least that was part of the article that I read.
Was that Jorge guy?
Find it.
Is it the Jorge dude?
No, it's not him. It was basically the internal accountant.
Okay, I know Jorge watches
the person who would have kept the books on all of their sort of inflows and outflows related to what they were doing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't keep up on all the internal politics there, but I wish I knew more. Okay. Great.
Another quick audible. I have no Texas red heifer update. Just
damn it, man.
Keep on it.
I want to know. I mean, they sold them, but I don't know if they actually used them, right? Or if their customer used them or not. So
no, I haven't gotten paid yet. No,
they're under lock and key and guarded by a lot of military.
No way, really?
A lot.
Wow,
really?
Man,
yeah, they literally. Hamas said that was one of the reasons for the attack.
Oh, I remember that.
Beef,
I do
by the way,
remember that.
you think they're Wagyu cows?
We'll get into there is some actually at least seemingly good news on that front too, but that's for the second hour, right?
They're also not that red. When they showed them, I thought they would be more red. They're not very red. They're very brown.
It's kind of like a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Right. That color. Right. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm going to throw this up. This is today's episode. Debunk or prove conspiracies with the blockchain. So I'm going to refresh this. So we get any new replies, any new questions. Sorry. Get that message off the screen there. Okay. You guys ready to debunk? I don't know if we're debunking or if we are explaining how to debunk. I don't know. Whatever that is. Yeah. I have some interesting stuff that from probably stories from 2019, I think, that relate heavily to this topic. So anyway, first up, Legacy Zach. Legacy
special.
Zach.
He's kind of special, retarded. Like Alex.
Yeah, he's special.
So be gentle with your explanation. All right. So take that to heart. Right. What can we do to store data with the blockchain if we were to prove that those people with the funny hats committed the ultimate coup in the assassination of JFK. All right, who wants to hit this first? I'm just going to go straight down this line here. Okay, so we're going to hit William first, the emperor, who probably has similar things to worry about. Maybe, hopefully not. What do you think? What's your answer here? Did it freeze? Oh boy.
I think I'm out of pros.
Oh my gosh, that's
a good.
You got a really good freeze.
All right,
so
we'll come back to the emperor and we'll go with Andrew.
Well, I first had to say the emperor has no clothes. Oh, sorry, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean it depends on the size of the data. I mean, they're doing NFTs and stuff like that on Bitcoin Core, right? And they can squeeze that in. So thousands of little files and archives, you can download them instantaneously with the download manager. It's built specifically for blockchain and extract them remotely, right? So that's a way to have that kind of security of knowing that something hasn't been tampered with. Just as an example.
Yep. William's power was assassinated. Now, hopefully, who knows what the control of the timing there. Okay, Sean, what do you want to say about this?
Well, it's tough. It's tough to answer that because I don't know if it's possible to prove anything. Like the laptop is fake. The laptop is fake. The laptop is fake. Here's proof. Then it's just all, it doesn't really matter. He's, in the end, he's pardoned. But there's still people that think it was fake. But it was just, lies that it was real. So it's hard to prove anything nowadays. They used to be able to give proof. It was proven. People had much more open minds. Everyone is so closed-minded now. It's literally like you pick a side and then you stay there no matter what. Even if you're proven wrong, there's still people getting, their 50th booster on something that is like, well, it doesn't really work, but here's a booster.
Research is getting more damning every day too.
Yeah, it's like when you say, well, look at this study, like that's a magic Harry Potter word. It literally wipes everything away. Just put this and this. So I don't know. I don't know. I think the problem now has gotten to where it's people. It's humanity itself. It's not right when blockchain came along. Like now we have real provable history that can't be changed and blah blah blah. It's like now literally we're the problem.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, what do you think?
Well, I mean, certainly you could put false time-stamped information on a blockchain. So I mean, that is the tough part of it. I mean, you can use the blockchain to record a history and have an immutable ledger, but the data that's in there, the blockchain doesn't necessarily imply the veracity of the information that's stored on the blockchain. So I don't know how that fits. But
okay. All right, Greg.
And that was actually a really great lead into the point that I was going to make. Is if you want blockchain to be able to stop conspiracies, then you need to intentionally design it the way that parliamentarians design new rule sets. And map it directly to the technology in a way that doesn't use a metaphor from the past, like documents or whatever. Just map it to the new data structure directly and use that as your procedural set. You could even impose the creation of integrated devices that were tamper-proof, that they had to do voting on, that sort of thing. Now, there will always be a component of trust that goes into any kind of centralized leadership, which is why I'm an ANCAP, but setting that aside, knowing that that's not the world we're headed towards, we can make it a little better if we put the whole government under glass and make it so we can see everything that they do, and we can force that if we really have the political will to.
Yep.
I say if you want to catch conspiracy theorists, make them do their accounting in public blockchain.
That's the truth. That's the truth. If they really cared, Lisa.
So it was my understanding that this question is saying, like, what would we do with the data if we were to prove? So we're proving that yes, that happened. So over and over again, like you guys have kind of said before, like blockchain's great, but you can put, like to Aaron's point, you can put, anybody can, put whatever on Carfax, but it doesn't mean that it's true. The information is just what it is. So, but if we're proving that, you have to have accountability. And so I think that's where like the signatures come in. And to Sean's point on previous shows that we've done together, like if they issue, if the powers that be issue an emergency order, whatever, well, then when that runs out, they have to step down for anything to be continued again. So there has to be some kind of accountability or signatures that these people with the funny hats have to be held accountable, that they can't participate in the community moving forward again, because we see this, here's the data, here's the proof. And so those signatures, the funny hat people, don't get to have power or control again. Their signatures don't count in our community moving forward.
And that's a big, like, I brought this up with a.
Joe didn't get to answer his question yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
I can wait. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so this guy's a graphic designer, and I don't know if I've sent you guys a video, but he's like just a really good, graphic designer. And he said, I'm not political or anything, but, I heard that Obama's birth certificate is fake. So he went to like the .gov and downloaded the actual birth certificate. And I mean, because this is so old, he's like, he starts taking it apart and showing how bad it's faked. But this was also, like what, 12 years ago or whatever that it was made, or 15 years ago. So he's showing, and he's talking like you guys talk, like, this software that everyone knows about it, but no one knows about it. You know what I mean? He's like, you could just throw this into, XQ3 and look at how easy that is. And this, obviously, look at this shading and this. He starts taking it apart. He goes, "This is the worst fake thing I've ever seen." He goes, "I'm shocked. I don't." I said, he showed it. It's like, look, I'm downloading a new copy of it from the government and showing how to do it. So then, my point was, though, what do we do then? Because legally, he wasn't allowed to be president then. Every treaty, every decision, everything, technically should be all turned back, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to put an asterisk by it and accept it.
There should be. I've done this in a while.
There's no dead letter office for the Constitution. The second it doesn't get enforced, that part of the Constitution dies, right? We just will ignore that provision because the practice has changed. Is how it will likely go in reality, and that's the unfortunate way.
I'll tell you,
there's no enforcer for the Constitution. There needs to be an active one.
It's the people, right?
Hold on. Well, imagine the people who killed people in Afghanistan, who killed people because of the attack. Imagine just what that would do to their brains. It was all a scam, that they were led into it. And then, so who do we go now to war with? Our greatest ally? I mean, there's so many. It's like we would just be like, "Oh man, this sucks."
No, he needs to be unretired and held accountable by the military, just like what Ivan Raiklin suggested happened to Millie.
All right, we have a. I don't know if he has if we've altered his voice or not, but we do have a
dark
whistleblower.
Just kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can answer now because I haven't even answered yet. So you're back in time. Good. So what's your answer to this question? I'll pop it back.
Refresh my memory. JFK assassination. Oh, well, there was an Alex Jones recent post on
oh man, I was doing 911. I didn't. I'm sorry, I went off on that. It was JFK. That's completely different.
Yeah.
Okay,
anyway, I would think that trying to capture the data to be able to debunk or prove these conspiracies is where it's all about. And blockchain certainly can do it. And blockchain can make sure that the data that's captured can be probably someone's already answered this, but can be validated, that it hasn't been corrupted. And I think that's where the answer lies, somewhere within that. And we need to really explore this. We need to explore blockchain and make it a staple as far as recording history and these sorts of things, government for transparency, etc.
And courts really too, for evidence and submissions. Evidence.
Yes.
That would make a lot of sense.
Chain of custody, all that. So I have a bunch of comments based upon your guys' comments that are hopefully interesting. That one thing, I pulled down the birth certificate. I was a contractor at the FBI in one of their big facilities, and I was running Linux on my laptop, and I pulled down and pulled the birth certificate apart and all the layers with GIMP, and I was blown away. And even I had a colleague there who was a friend who was definitely a big supporter of Obama, and he was floored. He was like, it was bizarre stuff, and knowing how those files are put together, it's bizarre. That's all I'll say. The thing about this question, and in my answer to it is, when I was at Disney, not this precise question, it wasn't the target, but all of the myriad of things that are similar in use case to this came into one of the use cases that was a goal, and several things. And we had, I will say, we had the luxury of not having to deal with a VC or to deal with somebody who was pushing us to, we need to pump the price, Joe. You need to write something that'll pump the price. We didn't have any of that. It was all, what should we be building? And frankly, for this, there are several things that are applicable, but one of the big pieces that's very important is literally the scalability. And that's not just, hey, we need to be able to put millions of things on chain every second. It is that we need to be able to afford to put millions of things on chain every second, right? That if you can't get both of those things, then blockchain can't help you, right? And that was, one of the big goals. And the other is solving that question of how, the junk in, junk out question. If how do I know? Okay, sure, you put this data on there in whatever date, however many years ago, but how do I know it's real? And there's several ways. And the first relates to the scalability, because if you're putting everything on chain, you have a more likelihood that the information is trustworthy, because it's not one single document and some result
you capture
on chain.
Every delta.
It is millions of things that came into it, and other parts of evidence that are all separately stored over time, right? All those things come together. Then you can apply reputation, because you can know, okay, this agent or this person or this process is the thing that is literally writing all of these things to the ledger. And if that's a consistent thing, there's some evaluation of trust. And then the other, which is we did a little bit at Disney, but after Disney, we worked with a few projects that are still running today that needed to focus on this. One case in particular was for the arts world, and one of the solutions that we provided was a prediction market on the evaluation of information. So you'd put up a particular piece that might be, in this case, provenance for a piece of art, and you would have the ability for people to profit if someone is lying. If someone has put fraudulent information up there, there's a bounty. And therefore, you basically have a size and time-based bounty that can give you a really good measure of whether that information is accurate.
Right.
Because if something, if there's a
because if
$1 million bounty,
if you take the short
no
position on something,
Right,
nobody believes it's fraud,
So-
and then prove it's fraud.
Yep.
Then you
It's-
win a windfall, basically.
Yep. And that's a good way to do things like this. Now,
That's
for
interesting.
JFK, for 9/11, I've been an advocate forever since this technology is here. Anybody who's doing anything like, okay, this is supposed to be the people's information. Those files belong to us. They haven't been released. Why? Trump, by the way, only in rumor do we know this, that he spoke to a celebrity judge and said, oh, if you would have seen who's behind it, you wouldn't have released it either. Yet we're going to hope that he releases it now. It's like, that's pretty bad for a republic, right? It's a very bad standard. And, it's like,
it's the
that's our
standpoint
info.
of somebody who thinks the CIA is indispensable and therefore, right, cannot afford to be exposed for having done something horrible.
Or our greatest allies who, as Zach mentions, wear top hats, right? All the top hat bankers. That's what I assume he's talking about, or the top hat wearing bankers.
The British gentlemen.
Well, I don't know. They wore different hats in 1963, so let's.
Maybe.
But I need to say one more thing.
You could have been talking about liberating the British people from the tyranny they're living under right now. That's also possible.
Okay. All right.
I have to make one more quick comment about the whole assassination attempt. Now that I'm a public figure and the first ever elected emperor of a DAO in the world,
you never talk about that.
Yeah, well, having said all that, actually, I did a show just last night, so you can learn a little bit of there as an introduction as your emperor of the Social Din DAO. So anyway, I want to say that I will not be riding in a convertible with my wife in Dallas, DC, or Chicago. And secondly, I believe that I will never have a second person in charge with the name LBJ. And the Intel Super State, along with LBJ, were involved in JFK's assassination. And I will be looking for personnel to protect your emperor. Yep. And I just wanted to share that with you.
Don't ever let them reroute your car on the way to the movie, right? Okay.
But as the emperor, I'm going to tell you that JFK was assassinated by the Intel Super State, and LBJ certainly was involved, and that's what they wanted to hide.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah. And by the way, we didn't cover that. The fact that there is conspiracy theories. Kind of, I mean, it's a made up term by the CIA in order to classify various types of info, right? And it's an interesting thing that JFK being the first real thing that has how many theories, and so many of them don't relate to who actually did it. It's kind of telling, right? Anyway,
if it's okay, I want to pivot my answer from earlier, kind of like you just responded to everybody else. I was reminded of a YouTube channel called Rothbard's Disciple, and he was talking himself years ago the SLP tokens that Bitcoin Cash was implementing, and he was concerned because there was no way, and this kind of fits into this conversation. There's no way to prove, the authenticity of SLP tokens because they're not mined. He said that in this particular video, and I thought it was a really appealing argument, that if you're going to have something like that, it should be mined on the side, like a side chain.
I don't know. It depends on the type of proof applied. I mean,
I don't know. I would go more with integrated devices. Make sure that if you have a document, you need to be scanned into some system, and you need to track that scanning event.
That's a good point.
The device itself is directly integrated with some kind of transaction system that generates cryptographic signature event of some sort.
Consistency, transparency, identity. Yeah. Yep. All right. We'll go to the next one. Also, Zach, what if it's all fake and gay? That's one of my favorite memes. Anyway, with the conspiracy theories swirling around the social media these days, especially as normies begin waking up from the soft tyranny imposed during the COVID lockdowns. It would be interesting how we could use the blockchain as a means to organize and assess every topic. With that said, how do you see the blockchain used to capture, uncover, and debunk conspiracy theories? This time we're going to go backwards up the line, starting with Lisa.
Okay, so he's saying, how can it be used to capture, uncover, and debunk? But he's talking about organizing I'm like the least organized person, so this is not my forte.
You can pass. I was thinking.
I'm just not a organized person. This is not, and this is like really more technical. So this is probably not my deal. I'll let Greg handle this one.
Greg.
Yeah. I would say that we need to find a way to make it so that you can have blockchain-backed data provide information that makes it easy to uncover these things, right? Like it's entirely possible right now to go and build a dashboard that publicizes exactly what a series of accounts are doing, right? So if you wanted to make sure that like a chain of evidence were captured, you make these really impossible to avoid compliance points where anybody handling that chain of custody would like be required to scan in something very specific within a certain amount of minutes of filing certain reports they're already required to file, right? You just make that part of the deal. It goes on chain. And once you've got it on chain, then you can track all the shenanigans that might take place with it, because the only way to do shenanigans with it would be to create a record of that. And if you've got that secured by a properly designed system, you can make it so that it's really hard to cheat.
Exactly.
I think that's what you would have to build. And to do that is not going to be as simple as just building it and getting people to use it. It's going to be something you have to impose upon the government. And where you want it to be used, it has to be used voluntarily under public pressure.
Yep, I like it. Aaron.
I think it's really difficult to use the blockchain to prove anything that's happened in the past, just because of the source of the information. And by the way, I mean, related to that, I guess we could talk about that later, but I don't know if you guys have been following, but we should be expecting a lot of alien and UFO disclosure over the next 72 hours prior to Trump inauguration. And this is going to be coming out over multiple, some mainstream news channels, podcasts. It's going out all over the place. Stephen Greer's been pushing this for a while. And so I guess now a whole bunch of people are actually going to be coming forward, and direct whistleblowers that have been kind of behind the scenes because they're worried about legal or other ramifications for coming forward. And I guess at this point, the theory is, well, okay, people want the truth. And now that there's a change in administration, people are coming forward. But that's one of those examples.
It also throws more sand in the incoming administration's gears, of course.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It does. But this is a perfect example of how would you apply blockchain technology to the idea of alien disclosure and UFO disclosure. And by the way, I throw that out with no idea of what the answer would be.
Oh yeah, no, it's open question.
It's an open question. But the concern is moving forward is that, unfortunately, the technocrats would want to have a complete AI surveillance state. So it would be possible to do this moving forward. I just don't think we'd want it, right? I mean, if everything is tracked, time-stamped, and tied into a centralized surveillance system, do we really want that? So
no, I think we only want that if we point it internally at the government only, I guess.
Yeah,
true. It should only be the government doing it, or anybody voluntarily as well.
We should be able to see in on them like they're under glass. Honestly,
exactly.
And I'd love to figure out how to do that. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about that. You kind of think about this with money. We've completely lost control of privacy, right? All of our financial transactions are now tracked by the IRS, NSA, and everything else. And yet the Federal Reserve and the actual people that create the money out of thin air, we don't even know who owns that apparatus. So everything is completely upside down right now.
Oh,
so
the board of directors is secret.
Yeah, the board. So I don't know how we get to this point where it goes back to what it's supposed to be.
Monarch.
Constitutionally.
We need a monarch. I think it's the only way. Anyway.
Are you converted to Jacobite now?
Yeah, it's like anyway, whatever. It's too.
I think you should have a randomly selected monarch.
Everybody coming in Sorry, I'm interrupt the flow here, but everybody wanting, it's like, yeah, that sounds right. Power to the people. A republic. We can vote in our representatives, who will then be raping kids and taking bribes in order to be controlled. It's like that's harder with a king, because the king's like, I'm the king. Why do I need your help? Screw you. I'm going to print my own money. It's kind of funny. Anyway, Sorry, Sean.
Well, I think, especially you guys, you people, you eggheads, because you're so smart and you're so far above everyone else. And especially me also, I mean, I've been in this a long time. It's such an emerging technology. It's so new. I think that we are not at a place where it can be used well. I think it needs to be used with some sort of AI. There's something that Aaron brought up. But these things have to be trusted before they can be put into place, like massively trusted, massive, like redundancy and protections. But
sort of like a creation ceremony for a node in a privacy network, right?
Like right now,
to be a public one.
Right now, because of social media and all that's been around for a while, we're seeing someone go before Congress and they're like, hey, 8 years ago, you said women are bitches. You know what I mean? 10 years ago, you said you posted this. And they're like, oh, but I was a different person. There's so many things that you can get out of that are not fact-based. But if we had all this information on blockchain and someone came out and had a conspiracy, hey, the earth is not flat, it is not a globe, it's a hexagon. Then
actually,
if all this information is on the blockchain, it could spit out a report of why it's not. And then the conspiracy is debunked. We could use that. If you trusted all the information that was put in, if you trusted where it was coming from, and you trusted the fetching mechanism, whether that's AI or whatever, that put it all together and then lays it out there, that is something that could debunk things quickly and before they get started. As soon as it's put in, because Lisa, she didn't Google stuff anymore. She goes straight to AI. The fact that Google means to research now, that word has become.
I also don't only use one
the
resource.
Google index doesn't have anything valuable
about me because that's really offensive.
But my point is, you don't Google. Everyone just went to Google before.
But you Google if you want to find out what the propagandists want you to think of something.
Yeah. But even that part of the legacy, search of information is going away.
Can I say the flip side of I think the monetization for OpenAI is literally going to be the censorship side. You'll be able to go to OpenAI and say, I don't want people asking about or saying this about, or the answers to be about my company, except for this, Theory. Andrew.
Well, I seem to think, I remember a video I was watching on Michael Malice's program. He's doing an interview with gentlemen. It was a small organization, people that were going and appealing to, companies that were implementing DEI style programs, and the people that were the head of the companies weren't even aware that the program is being implemented. And so what they would do is they would just slowly ratchet up the pressure on the companies until they realized, okay, yeah, this isn't really what we represent as a company. We're going to set this down, and we're not going to do this anymore. Now, the real question is, how do you do that universally? You can't do that universally, but if you get enough momentum, enough people are going to step in and say, yeah, that's not something we want to risk, because all these other people are not doing it. Now we're going to lose money if we do this, so we're not going to do this.
Yeah. Yep. All right, William.
Like they say, the winner writes the history, or the conqueror rewrites the history, or however you want to say it. And I think if more history is recorded on blockchain, it's going to be providing us more data, more facts, more information that's immutable, and we'll be able to determine or discern what is factual, what is truth, what is fake. And in this world with AI being introduced, it's even harder to discern the truth. So I'm going to go back to the wisdom of the crowd, and like Din.social, incentivizing human behavior to discern the facts. Those are powerful tools, powerful techniques. And if we can record more data, then we can probably determine what is fact and what is fiction and try to debunk, if you will, some of these conspiracy theories. But it's ultimately
how much prediction market data that was you could validate on chain would you have to train an AI with before it had an intuition for what was likely to happen?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, you would use both maybe, but that's the thing. If you have a prediction market, wouldn't it be interesting that you could leverage that whole number go up mechanic to get interest and eyeballs on some of these things? It's like, hey, this looks like it's fake, and for some reason the market's doing this, an indicator, and if the market is being manipulated, there's an opportunity to fix it. And so it's like it is a really good way to handle even historical data.
You know, people talk about prediction markets and how much more factual they are, and over the past like 2 years, I've seen so much, and Dana said in there, and you know, the Jefferson song that we're getting smarter, but actually we're getting dumber. But people are learning more. Like the shock that all of these polls were completely way off, but the betting market when it came to the election was so spot on because people really care about money. Like if you call me and I got my friend here and they're super liberal and I'm going to answer the phone a certain way, or I just don't want to tell you the truth, but when it comes to where I'm putting my money, or that you're not going to mess with. So
that's why the U.S. government shut down Intrade too, isn't it? They don't want those predictions, right?
Yeah, they screw up their push polling, man. It screws up their fucking poll manipulation system to let that information out.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. And
did you answer?
Did I answer? I mean, I think I already answered it before. It's like and I interrupted you guys enough. I think. All right. But
well, I have a question about this because they're saying, like, do you see this even debunking conspiracy theories? Because I don't think it matters how much data you capture if there's no enforcement. And that's like the big drum I want to beat on this, is that it's like all these hearings that we see and all this, they bring out the facts and we see this stuff happen. Nothing happens. Nobody goes to jail. Nothing happens.
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing. I think if we had real transparency and we had some ability to measure that data as a whole in a transparent way, in an open way, that you'd be more likely to see the real effects. Because when, right now, all they have to do is push out some story on 60 Minutes or through Google or through Facebook, totally manipulate, that story. And there are enough.
It doesn't work anymore though, because nobody watches TV.
Yeah. Now we are converting. We are rapidly, I think, converging on the fact that people are increasingly more likely to trust the conspiracy theory than they are what's coming out, from the government. Exactly, because people, especially in recent times, have been, there is a learning curve, right? But the fact that you go to any young person, they don't believe most of the stories they've been given in school from since the 40s, right? Yeah. So all of those things that they've taught as propaganda for years and years and years is actually turned on its head because nobody trusts what you're being told.
They teach the hypothetical government of the First Republic as if it were still the same republic that we have now, or the Second Republic, rather. I guess
you're cleaning it up for me. I know.
Is the First Republic, right?
Yeah, you're cleaning up for me. I know, but you just look at what young people look at TikTok. Why is TikTok being banned? I won't say anything more about it. We'll go to the next question. Okay, so this is also from Zach. And how can you prove to me that Andrew isn't actually bald and that he has long flowing locks like an 80s glam rocker that glimmers in the moonlight on the beach as he swayed it back and forth? So we'll go here and we'll say, it's like, I don't know what the answer is. I'll let Andrew answer on his own.
Hair. That's my real hair. This is all just a gimmick.
I told Andrew before we started, every time I look at him on the little screen on the input here, I think he's raising his hand. right? It's like, oh, he's wanting to say something. I'm like, oh, anyway. I don't know if anybody else wants to answer that.
Maybe he's saying like
Sora and
power to the
animate it to actually
people.
move, and then use it as a background. That really needs to happen.
I think we need time lapse, frankly, to prove this or disprove it. We need a time lapse of historical hair growth.
I've seen AI video generation. I mean, I could probably go get an old picture and do that. I don't know.
That's a good point.
Isn't this the one where like the Den Social, that where Reputation, and you could keep your identity anonymous, but the community could vouch for you or whatever. And that's where like this actually could be a little dangerous if there were to be a group. Right now they're talking about, there's this talk about these generals these bad generals. James O'Keefe interviewed this guy that supposedly talked with some upper secret whatever guy, that there's these bad generals that want to take out Trump. And so there could be some kind of like coup group that get together and validate something in a bad way. Like maybe they say that Andrew's really bald. Or that he really has purple hair, or that he's, I don't know, whatever. So
I mean, they would have a lot of footage to check to look for glitches in some kind of algorithm that was like drawing.
I guess where the reputation comes from would matter in that case, right? Or how the community is valued would matter.
We may not believe a picture that Zach puts up, but we would probably believe a picture that Andrew put up.
Yep. Well, and I'll say, why do you think they have been pushing this deep fake question for so long? Like there's something that they have out there that they know is going to come out.
Well, they've pushed this one for a really long time.
Fake. What's that?
Fake photography was a legislative issue in the early 1900s as well.
I know.
It's actually really funny because all these same arguments are being made.
This is specifically about saying, oh, you can't believe that. That's a deep fake. That's what this is about. And it's just such an odd thing. In fact, for some Fortune 500 companies to issue press releases about tools related to deep fakes doesn't make, it's like, where are they profiting? Where is this company profiting from the ability to create deep fakes?
There was a former president, who got caught with publishing a fake photo as if it were real, and it was a pretty good edit.
Who was that?
I forget exactly who it was. Let me find out.
This isn't a coincidence that we're approaching the singularity. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Okay. All right. We're gonna go to the next one, and because we are, there are a lot of us here today, and it's an uneven split for the layout. What do you think about 1.5 minutes?
Real quick answers.
Yeah.
Lightning round.
And bonuses if you come in well under. Right? You come in 30 seconds, you get bonus, right? You win. All right. Okay. Next question from the emperor himself. Does your government lie? Raise your hand for yes. Question: is blockchain capable of proving or disproving conspiracy theories about UFO sightings or government secrecy? So let's start this time with William. I have a timer here on a mobile device, so I will start. You ready to go? Go.
Yes, blockchain is capable of doing it. I don't think that we're going to add a prediction market and get everybody hyped up enough to use blockchain to solve this question or this issue. And no, I do not trust my government. Next. Right on.
That was excellent. See, you win. That's a bonus. All right. So let's see here. Andrew is next. Go.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes. In an overt way, the whole alien invasion thing, that could be, psychological stress enough for people. It's just like, we need something to prove that this is actually happening. In a covert way, maybe just slowly boil something up within the user interfaces of stuff like Facebook and just all the different things that you use, and say, is this real or not?
Yep. Right on. Sean is the real test here.
Absolutely. But it's, you guys use that term government under glass. It's just perfect. You have to have transparency, and you have to be able to trust the information. And then you build a real database that's foolproof. It's awesome. And then instantly you'll know the truth.
Yep. Right on. Aaron.
I think no. I just think it's going to be garbage data in, it's going to be impossible to know, to get access to the information to even be able to evaluate it fully.
Contraire. But
All
very
right.
valid.
That was fast too. Greg.
I think the most likely explanation for the UFO technology that is being displayed in anything, if there is indeed UFO technology being displayed, a lot of them can be confirmed to be video glitches and lens misbehavior and illusions of motion when a camera is positioned at a certain point on an aircraft and things like that. You can really actually tell other explanations for this that could be just, we're not looking at UFO. For the ones they can't explain, right? I would be willing to bet that this is a popular fiction maintained specifically to cover up our own research. The fact that these next gen things are behaving in ways that are seemingly beyond capability is what they've always done. I mean, the SR-71 Blackbird was freaking secret for a really long time before they let people know that this super fast jet actually existed. It seemed like alien technology. The Aurora program, and they lied about for years. They just finally disclosed as a real thing. Like this high Mach spy plane replacement for the SR-71 actually existed. So what they've got right now that they won't talk about, very easy to cover up with stories of UFOs, I think.
Very good. Very good. All right. Lisa.
So is blockchain capable? Yes. But like to Aaron's point, but the data that's available is controlled by the government, which is, I don't think, willing to share with us the truth. So, which I don't trust. And I don't think this question is about our opinion about whether UFOs are real or not. So I'll leave my opinion at that.
Right on. Right on. And so I will answer yes in the first question, but the second question, it is doable for sure. And in the very least, I don't know that you would say prove or disprove, but at least it would be doable to provide better evidence, whether the consensus is one way or another, and if there's a market there, which would drive that. And the agorists on the board here today might even say, what if there were a bounty that these very government people who are releasing the data would get paid for releasing the data? It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm for or against that, but anyway, some interesting stuff. And Greg is the only one who did not get a bonus hitting under the 30-second mark, but I'm going to give him mine. So everything is friendly and good.
I have an answer also. Go see Monday's show on Litecoin Lisa for an answer to that question about Davidic drones.
There you go. There you go. Okay. All right. We're going to do it again. It's still a minute and a half, but 30 minutes is appreciated. Okay. Facebook keeps blocking the truth. How does blockchain potentially impact conspiracy theories regarding climate change data manipulation? Let's start with William.
Well, I wished we had all of the temperature sensors, their location, date and time, and city growth around those temperature locations was uploaded and inputted into the blockchain, where we could take a good look at temperature records and see if it's been manipulated because we have grown towards those temperature recording devices. For example, like airports they used to be outside of city limits, and that's where they put these temperature devices. And then we grew towards the airports, thus raising the temperature and it manipulating the data. But we're not told that. That's all I have to say.
Right on. Andrew.
I want to reply to William real quick. I'm not trying to white knight for Satoshi's vision, but I've seen implementation of that on Satoshi's vision. The other thing is the more technology advances, the harder it is for them to maintain their illusion, their kayfabe narratives. It's the breaking of the narrative is accelerated more and more as technology has evolved. So that's my answer to that.
Very
Blockchain
good.
knows that.
Very good. Sean, you are up.
I think I'll expand on what Andrew just said there. It's not how technology advances, it's how technology advances and the regular guy uses it. Because before the only people that had computers were governments at a time, and then it was governments and giant corporations. And once it filtered down to the smaller guy, look what we've been able to build. Look at where the control of information is going. So every question falls back to trust in the where the information is coming from, and trust in how it's fetched and gathered and presented. But one thing I think is interesting about the Facebook thing is that literally they were like, the fact checkers were, we're not suppressing free speech. We're not suppressing free speech. We're not doing. And then they came out and said, okay, we're going to stop suppressing free speech. And they never actually just said, yeah, we were doing it. We're sorry. They just said, hey, we're going to stop this now. So I think that it goes back to the accountability thing. It's like, if we don't, say we're sorry or, apologize, then we just don't ever admit we did it. Now look at us. We're great. We're on board with the free speech like everybody likes now. They should. And the furthest he went was to say the government was yelling at us and forcing us and being mean to us. So it's
time, Sean.
Yeah, I had to rant about.
Sorry. It's all good. All right, let's see here. Aaron.
I think this is a similar situation where we can use sensors and we can use the blockchain to track information moving forward, but we have no idea how accurate the historical data is, nor do we know whether any of the theories about historically the causes of climate change or if climate change even existed in the past. So I don't even know. We should probably scrap the whole climate change arc, because it's all designed to create manufactured scarcity to usher in technocracy. So we should probably not even play with that debate at all, ideally.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Greg, are you
okay? If you needed to strangle out the truth, right, then you could essentially establish a paradigm whereby the weather stations themselves, or measurements where they're taken themselves, have to be directly integrated. If you structure that in a way that captures every single packet of data sent, and you get that recorded, and that becomes the official source everybody has to use, then there's no fudging the numbers. We could do the same thing in terms of requiring them to check in their models. We could put the whole thing under glass and then let it collapse under its own weight, and that's one way to kill it. I'd rather just not take the time and effort to do it that way, but we strangle them in their own technocracy. That would be my point.
Okay, Lisa.
I think it depends if they are talking about, are they specifically using only from the time that they begin using the term climate change, or are they going back to global warming? Because then, and if so, then you use whatever term, and then you use something as simple as, you can use an AI and data and a spreadsheet, and you track it, but you need to also be tracking the political issues that are happening at the same time. And it may be very telling to look at what political issues are happening, and what and when the words changed, and what the temperatures were changing, and then kind of just see the facts and what played out.
That's the funny
global
thing about
boiling,
that.
I think, is another thing they tried to call it for a while too.
Well, I mean, it was there was even the global cooling that happened. It was in the 80s or the 70s.
70s.
Push that. Yeah. So 70s. I mean, even the narrative itself.
Science books had that, actually.
Right. The narrative itself would be useful for people to see. And frankly, the freaking dictionaries should be on chain, because they'll come out and multiple online dictionaries all change one word at the same time. Like, why is that? What is the point? It's crazy. It's not, and not even just changing it for the known, simple political reasons. It's just a bunch of weird stuff. So yeah, I would put everything on chain, right? everything. But anyway, okay, let's see here. We'll go to the next question.
Last
question. Okay. Is this from I Am for I Am? Yes, it is. All right. Question. How might blockchain affect conspiracy theories around media manipulation or fake news? And I have a story around it. I'll start mine and we'll go straight down. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start the timer second here. Around 2019, we had some people come in. I don't know what their affiliation was. They claimed that they had worked for a couple of different 3-letter agencies, and they came to us wanting to do some things because we had, we were out there, with the Eternal blockchain and things like this to archive stuff and to measure it, and they wanted to launch something that would be an arbiter, and it would solve the quote unquote fake news problem, right? And it's really interesting because when we started talking to them, and it didn't go anywhere because we were adamant that there is no such thing as fake news. It's all in the eye of the beholder, really. It's like what you need is information and evidence, and depending upon how important the information is, you need better evidence. But they wanted something they could manipulate, right? So that's how that stuff happens. And with DIN, I think we have generally solved that problem. There are things for certain types of information that can be added benefit features, but I think it's get it on chain, get it all on chain, and put some way to evaluate it with a market around that. So that's my answer. And next we go to William.
The truth violates community standards. I think that's pretty ironic. We see that Meta Facebook is now moving staff to Texas, or going to be hiring people in Texas rather than supposedly and transitioning to community notes. And Din.social was ahead of it to plug it, and to a shameless plug, my video that I did last night on my introduction as and introduce myself as the emperor of the Din DAO. I talked about this last night. We have to allow the communities, I think, to try to discern the truth and not be manipulated like we've seen social media do so, or bow to the government and have their arm twisted, shall we say, to, no, you're going to post this and the other is propaganda. Let the people decide.
Yep. Andrew.
This kind of builds on my the answer from the last question. If you think about it, people say, even the poorest among us have TVs. With technology like blockchain, it should be even, the most difficult people to fool, they should be able to spot a lie.
Right.
Easiest people to fool. I'm sorry.
Sean.
I think it's like when all the fact checkers, it was proven so many times that they were owned by people pushing agendas, whether it was Facebook itself or, a certain political party
or industry.
Yeah. So that it has to come down to what we've all said, where the information comes from, transparency and trust. And then the community note is valid. It should literally kill the post.
Yep. Aaron.
So, I've thought about this a lot. And one of the things that I think should probably be played around with, prediction markets show kind of crowd sentiment leading up to a particular event. But I like the idea of, people might, even after an event has happened, the ability to kind of change what people think about the truth. And I think this is an unexplored area and something that should be added to this, because it's not like, okay, this is fact checked. Well, no, this is fact checked at this moment in time, but facts and evidence change. So I think the ability to visualize and to take into account new information and changing opinions, and to be able to display and articulate that clearly, will be incredibly helpful in how to deal with media manipulation and fake news. I don't know how to do that, but I think it's an exciting opportunity.
Yep. Greg.
There's a weird skeuomorphic relationship, like a weird metaphor that we like to draw between blockchains and whatever the problem is that we're trying to solve. We like to think of them as transaction systems or ledgers or smart contracts in various contexts. Ultimately, they're just databases. And we start thinking about them like that, and we start thinking about how much in database design we do stuff specifically to make information more verifiable. If you strip out all that stuff, it simplifies the data structures you need a lot. And that means when the next generation database is used everywhere, information will be a lot easier to find and a lot easier to record cheaply. So we'll be able to put more stuff in the same database. And I think ultimately the path to go is to think about this as a technology and not just one of its most first obvious use cases, which is the out of control state-controlled finance system and the centralization of it that is being done at the point of the gun and always has been. Because that goes away, and you essentially end up with Timothy May's original crypto anarchy, which I think wasn't really so much a wish as it was a prediction. And I think that he was always right in that.
Right on. Lisa.
So it's my understanding that they're asking how blockchain would affect the conspiracy theories around media manipulation or fake news. And I think it will just ultimately prove that there was, because people are going to have access to more facts, and they're having less and less trust in the talking heads. They're seeing Project Mockingbird play out because they have more accessibility. I mean, that's why you're seeing Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson have a larger following now than CNN. So that's kind of
Yep. Wow. I'm going to bring this up, and this not because of this conspiracy theory, because I know very, very little about it, but this popped up on my feed a few weeks ago, and it was interesting because apparently, and I don't know, there was something about I know this. So this Amy Eskridge was talking about energy stuff or things related to UFOs, right? And had some background working in the South and one of the research groups. And how do I say this? That she died under mysterious circumstances. Well, after talking about a lot of this stuff, that's happened more than once, right? The thing that was interesting to me is that she looked familiar. The name sounded familiar. I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, we met with her. She was in Seattle, and very, very early Dragon Chain stuff before we launched commercially when I was still at Disney. And she was asking questions about and directly applicable to this subject matter. How could we use blockchain to prove to prove that time travel or that sending information backwards in time is possible? How would you prove it? If you could do it, how would you prove it? And we gave a couple of very interesting I did that. And that's what some of the interesting stuff about blockchain is. You have this measurable chain that you can measure how much power went into it, how much money. Therefore, you could, for instance, take a hash from a current block today, send it back in time, and store it on chain back in time, and then prove that there's no way for me to back then to have known what this hash value was, so on and so on. A bunch of stuff like that. Anyway, so there are some really interesting things that I don't have any ability to test.
The quantum dice roll of mining actually comes out the same way every time. You might end up with a completely nonsense hash.
Possibly, right? I don't know, right? So anyway, that was interesting. So okay. So that is the last? Yeah, that is the last question. So now we can go to what current events do we want to cover today?
I have one I'd like to start out with because it kind of dovetails into the last question. It's what's taking place with TikTok. TikTok in the U.S. is about ready to go dark in the U.S. this Sunday because that was the deadline for the legislature. And the Supreme Court did not make a decision. They said they needed more time. And so on the case. And so therefore, the law states that TikTok is supposed to go quiet Sunday evening or go black or dark in the U.S. Next point is it's interesting because there is another app and it's called Red Note, and it's been trending in the app stores, and it's at the top of the app store trend. And I was told that there's over 30 million US downloads for this app that works almost identical to TikTok. And what's fascinating about this app is it is blessed by the CCP. It is from China. And legislation is never going to be able to catch up to this, to technology, basically. And Tim Cotton was quoted to say that TikTok had its chance to sell off and be U.S. based or U.S. owned and still stay alive, and we are not going to bring this to the floor of the Senate. And then now there is some rumblings saying that Biden is going to do an executive order to keep TikTok alive until the Supreme Court has something to say. TikTok users are already migrating over to Red Note, so much so that there is now direct communication between U.S. citizens and Chinese citizens, all the way to the point that it's fascinating that American students are asking Chinese students to help them with their math in exchange for helping Chinese students with their English homework. So it's getting interesting.
One weird situation where Cobra effects do a net positive because they introduce people to another oppressed people.
Right. It's fascinating. And so the social media wars are a reflection of the hostilities that are starting to escalate between the U.S. and China. And I wanted to bring that up for.
Well, TikTok. It was supposed to be Munchen was putting together a group to buy it. Then,
Mr. Wonderful Kevin
Leary.
Yeah, I don't like that guy. And then now the rumor is that they're trying to sell it to Musk. And it's all interesting.
Mr. Beast said he was going to buy it the other night.
Oh God, please.
Him and his pet over.
No. Jeez.
But see, here you go. The people are already moving to this Red Note.
Mm-hmm.
So, my son
it's like Tucker Carlson. He said he went over there and interviewed Vladimir Putin, right? He said, "Well, I just want to hear what this guy's got to say." I mean, I don't want to be influenced by the government and all that. I mean, so you got these people in the United States saying, "Well, I don't see a problem with it," and it's a covert struggle session for trying to get on the same page.
Oh, I'd love to see Vladimir Putin go on Joe Rogan just to hear what the guy has, just to get a sense of
great.
He'd
start with the Middle Ages. I'm joking.
Hillary's been selling America to China for years. The Clintons have been selling America
idea that information is
to Chinese for years. Why not? The American people are like, why can't we get a cut now? I mean,
you can do that.
Constitutionally, I was going to say constitutionally, it's interesting that we're talking about an executive order to overwrite the legislation that was signed in by the same president.
On a subject that is obviously unconstitutional in the first place. It's so freaking ridiculous.
They're protecting us.
Well, I mean, it should be pretty obvious that this is the kind of thing that is a free speech violation.
And here's the thing:
why the Supreme Court.
The only reason they're coming after TikTok, they were fine when it was pushing degenerate dancing and whatever you want to call it, joking. They're fine with that. It's when they started showing the conflict in Israel and what was happening with Palestine that they decided, wait a minute, this is Chinese propaganda. This is one step too far for TikTok. We have to kill this. Munchen, you go buy it, right? We'll put it in. You go buy it.
It was
like that crazy.
It's like that leak on Discord and how they were trying to control the narrative of Discord now.
Telegram. They did. I mean, and you think about it. you know, so we know that. We don't know what the this is so stupid that we have to call it this, but the censorship profile of RedNote. We don't know. Are they going to censor communist stuff? TikTok, we checked that back in the day. We posted some stuff, and
TikTok was great
didn't have
on
any effect.
censorship.
Yeah,
they
TikTok
had no barriers on like
until then they started censoring heavily when they said, "Oh, we're going to ban you in the U.S." So they went full Facebook on them. I think they brought in Zuckerberg as a consultant.
One thing they never did though was censor like cypherpunk stuff. Like you could go on there and you could talk about Rivet had a we ran like 5 videos before we stopped patronizing this firm because we had to like tighten in for the down economy times. But we had like 5 or 6 TikTok videos made that were just like us talking about why the tornado cash situation was screwed up. It went wide, like instantly.
Yeah.
We had 45,000 views off the thing on the first day. That platform didn't censor some of the stuff that de facto gets censored in some of the other systems.
Yep.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Right. Hey, I don't want you undermining my authority, but if you're going to undermine theirs, hey, I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, I think the worst case scenario is if Musk ends up buying it. And he actually just put out a note yesterday saying that he's looking for developers for his Everything app. People are walking into. So let me get this straight. The identification system is already being validated by an Israeli company with ties to Israeli intelligence. He's going to launch X payments. We're already putting all of our data into his AI. And then, you know, the icing on the cake would be this. And people will cheer it on. And, it's...
they also still have the address database for all the NFT profile pictures before they took that out of circulation. Anybody who used that is in the database for sure.
Wow, man. Well, we are into memes, by the way, too. What else? What else in current events? Are we just last night breaking news on the SEC that they're going to start reviewing cases that are pending? Is that to be believed? I hope
it's a rapid review, possibly a freeze on moving forward with any of them. Like they're going to do a quick review and identify the most egregious ones and probably drop them, and then freeze the rest that aren't. Like if there's anything specifically egregious, like any actual scams, they'll probably proceed. But I'm guessing everything else they're going to freeze.
I hope it's not just people or projects that donated a bunch to certain campaigns. That's what I'm worried about. I hope not.
I can't imagine. I would imagine it would be a pretty big scandal. They said they were going to do this, and then the injustice continued.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, pretty big.
There are going to be people who like to make noise, looking to make noise about it.
Yeah. I don't know. As far as pretty big scandals, I find it hard to see how the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve and Tether thing isn't about to become the biggest financial scandal in U.S. history. And I'm still working on this article, and it actually gets worse every day. I mean, now we have Tether moving to El Salvador, but I do want to just point out one thing that just happened to me today that's almost weird. This is actually surreal. This guy, Ryan Fournier, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name. Fournier. He's the chair of Students for Trump. He's an advisor to Trump. He has 1.1 million followers. Okay. Mm-hmm. He DM'd me this morning. Can you put out something along these lines and I will retweet? Tether is under attack from powerful financial institutions and far left politicians who want to stifle its success in order to protect their own agendas. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, first of all, did you not look at my account? This is going to go in the article. So is Trump clueless about Tether? And
they can't be that stupid to not look at who you are. Be careful that you're not being played.
I would take a small screenshot and share it to the video.
Be careful that you're not being played because they do know who you are. You're a very strong voice.
You might leverage this opportunity to get a message back to the administration, and then you'd have an answer specifically about, who is being serious about this or if it's a hoax. If they really want to know the truth about what the best thing to do is, they're misguided. You can maybe use this as in your response. Use this as an opportunity to tell them, which I think is good. I mean, if they aren't being disingenuous,
so crazy.
Wow. But I thought that was crazy, and I'm going to include it in the article because again, we will find out because when I do this article, I'm going to push the article hard because I'm going to make the assumption that Trump is just not properly informed, because his orbit is not filled with people that would present an alternative view. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and then I'm going to lay out the case. But I will tell you, the more I look at this, it's like, so yeah, no, they're printing Tether out of thin air to prop up the price of Bitcoin and now to buy treasuries. Like, this is a massive scandal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're tied into DAI in weird ways too. I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but it's worth looking into. It makes DAI also a dangerous place to put your money.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. Any of that stuff is just all because there's so much money. It's gonna get pushed, and that whole the whole Bitcoin reserve thing it's like, yeah, what are we trying to solve with that?
It also ties into and Aaron can speak to this a lot deeper than I can, but it ties into these stable coins and people seeing how much Tether has been printing money and making money, the founders of of Tether. So the idea of creating a stable coin and collecting on the transaction fees is huge. So as the All In podcast, the famous, technocrats of Silicon Valley's podcast, one of the largest podcasts now on the internet, states that 2025 is going to be the year of stable coins. Like, what? Where? What does that tell you?
Why do we want to always down shitcoin pegged to the worst shitcoin ever? The US dollar is a bad anchor. Why are we importing it?
We're not talking about Tether. He's talking about USDC. He's talking about Ripple's stable coin.
I mean, all of them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about the US dollar.
The only decent one is Reflexor Finance, because they don't have a tether. They just try to keep the price stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they finally found someone to buy U.S. Treasuries, and it's a whole plethora of companies that are creating stable coins out of thin air, and it extends the Ponzi. But it's like, there's that statement: if you owe the bank $1,000, that's your problem. If you owe the bank $10 million, that's their problem. And it's kind of like, this is becoming such a big scam. And now that Howard Lutnick is going to be the Commerce Secretary, and he's the last lead investor in Tether and managing all the treasuries, then when it blows up, they will absolutely cover it up and bail it out. That's what's
and it also
it
also gives them its enemies line of attack, man, on the blockchain. They're literally loading onto the blockchain the risk of what happened to Signature Bank by doing that.
Yep.
That might be if they want to come after them, they will just make the cost of owning those assets very, very low, and they'll load up on them, and then the rate will go up. And when that rate goes up, you're going to have a lot of collateral that you have to hold for a really long time before you can make ends meet on your reserves. So if there's a run on your currency, you're going to collapse.
I do have two questions about that. What happens with a crypto winner and they're holding? I'm not sure exactly what assets they're talking about holding, but say just Bitcoin Core, right? And there is a situation where they need immediate cash. They just can't justify it. What happens then? And the other thing is, what I was starting to say is, what are they going to implement? Just Bitcoin Core? Or is it going to be a multitude, a basket of currencies or cryptocurrencies, or what? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, it depends on who donated, I guess.
Well, they're saying today
are unclear.
They're saying today it sounds like a basket. All of a sudden, the last 24 hours, it's shifted. I saw a headline today where they're now talking about Solano and XRP, and so people are ETH holders are lamenting that, because ETH isn't based in the United States and it's not a coin that was minted here, that they're going to be left out. I mean, like, this is just, how did we go from separating money and state to like lining up to cheer for trying to get the government to buy a basket of crypto?
I know, right?
Peterman's Canadian.
That is why that's the whole damn problem.
I think it's a misconception of basic economics too. I don't think people understand what the reverse implications of them holding it are.
No,
and what kind of market manipulation that will entail them the power to do.
Did any of you guys
they can push the price
if they
hold enough.
Afghanistan, supposedly this is their version of the UFOs that they're seeing over there. Have you seen that? It's a squid UFO thing. I hadn't seen that until yesterday.
Lisa posted something just like this on X, that it was something almost similar found or seen in California during the fires, right?
Oh, really?
Is this what you had posted? Was that you that had posted that on
generative AI?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, there's been several videos and pictures. I don't know.
Yeah. Who has a suspicion that Gensler is not an actual person?
I think he's a
I've
fish.
heard
I
that
think he's Zuckerberg's uncle.
I've heard
And
it's
neither
his
one of
twin
them are
brother.
real people.
He has a twin brother. I've heard it's his twin brother that's playing him right now.
Yeah, he's the evil twin, from what I understand.
He does kind of look like one of those surrogates from that horrible Bruce Willis movie where he rode around in a puppet body.
I don't.
He kind of looks like one of those. He also looks a lot like Brad. I think he might be twin brothers with Brad Sherman too.
Oh my God.
But I do think he gets undue hate. Speaking of the word, because like he's had to write out all the shit that Clayton did on some of his last days in office. Like Clayton's the one who went after Ripple. Clayton's the one who went after Reggie. Clayton's the one who went after a lot of like legacy crypto, and then he snuck out the back door and left it on Gary.
I think Gary turned up all those levers to 11 with glee, honestly.
Yes, I agree.
I think Clayton was hostile, but I think Gary Gensler was like, yes, and then just went to work. You know, and he was also the CFO for the Clinton campaign in 2016.
Yep.
Probably would have been responsible for the direct outlay of money.
That's why I think he was left to hold the basket.
This
I
guy's
think
deep in the deep state.
I think it was part of his penance was to have to stand there and be exposed.
Well, that's the thing, though. If you go on WikiLeaks and read the cables or the messages from the Hillary Clinton email archive between him and Hillary, he was a suck up. All he wanted was his next big job.
And he's
that
surprised.
Is his primary modus, right?
That's all
and he licked her butt so obsequiously it was cringe.
He was the guy that he worked for at the MIT was funded by Epstein. If you look into that, I don't remember his name. I can't remember his name, but the guy who ran the program that Gensler was there on was Epstein funded, right? It was like it's how obvious is it?
Guy, I'm just saying, like,
careerist and a bully is how
I think he was there to like pay his penance and be exposed.
Yeah.
I got another quick topic. Did you folks hear about the former OpenAI researcher and whistleblower that was found dead in San Francisco? He was like 26 years old. I watched a heartfelt interview of his parents, and I'm going to butcher the name, and I deeply apologize. Suchir Balaji, who was a former OpenAI researcher and found dead in San Francisco apartment in recent weeks, somewhere around the beginning of December. He was an OpenAI, and earlier he had voiced serious concerns publicly that the company had allegedly violated U.S. copyright laws in building its popular ChatGPT chatbot, and he had moved on. And now there's a lot of suspicion, even though they claim it was a self-inflicted deletion. He was by the medical examiner staff. Anyway, I think I think the parents or the mother is on Tucker Carlson today. That interview just dropped, and this story is going to gain some traction. And a lot of the inside story or whistleblower speaking up or speaking maybe from the next life, speaking in this life or this dimension, if we will, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be interesting how this story comes out and how it develops. I think I almost wanted to talk about it this past Monday's show on Like Lisa's show, and instead did part 2 of the missing flight 370 MH370. Greg, you might want to take a look at that because it's debunking the debunkers. Of the static background wasn't static after all.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, the president that I was talking about earlier, by the way, when we were talking about fakes, was Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt, and he put himself on a moose.
Oh wow!
And it was a piece of satire that got kind of like a War of the Worlds effect on it, where some people got outraged because they thought some stupid people would believe that he was actually riding a moose, and that gave him an unfair advantage. in terms of popular support.
Yeah,
Was it
because he
an
started the
illustration?
Bull Moose Party.
So it was fake news, and it actually started up an effort to ban fake edited photography that isn't labeled.
Wow. History rhymes, doesn't it? Wow.
No, the debates sound like you could literally have copy pasted all the arguments for deep fake hysteria straight out of a 1912, 1913, 1914 era newspaper.
Wow.
I guess within the 1910s. Yeah. Or like prior to the 1910s.
All right. Any other interesting news? Current events. I mean, we have the Luigi thing. That meme was just up.
Yeah, I was trying to find a Ranhoek meme.
I think another interesting thing
about
is
the Austrian
the
school.
SEC going after. The SEC also went after. Who was it again? They go after Tesla, or did they go after X? No, the X sale thing, right? The stupid SEC litigation around the X sale.
They also did the Tesla, going.
This is literally like days before they're leaving, and they're announcing they're going to start a litigative process. Which is just nuts.
Yep. I mean, ours. They waited literally the last day or days before it would have been impossible for them to charge or to sue us, and they ran it up as far as they could so they could drain as much money as they could from us.
It's as if they're throwing every single piece of spaghetti at the wall they have in the last hour just because they want to make a mess of things.
Yep. Right on. Let's see here. What else?
By the way, that used to be me on Coffee with Din. I wouldn't show my face, and I would show this gentleman instead.
Oh, right on. You're supposed to say that you've had a
generative AI is magic because of this.
All right. I don't know what else. I'm interested in. Oh, here's the Plague of Demons card. Has that come up yet? I particularly think that's the SEC, but I don't know yet.
There's a bigger glom. It's that entire the Five Eyes of Finance and the three-letter agency version. It's not international. It's like just these regulatory agencies spanning from the comptroller of currency all the way down to the SEC that are the problem, really.
Yep.
I haven't watched any of the confirmation.
Yeah, the Pete Hegseth confirmation's been pretty funny.
I haven't watched any of them.
What do you think the long-term effects of the External Revenue Service is going to be?
External revenue.
Oh my God.
You know how I think it's going to go down? I think it'll be external revenue sources, I should say agency, going after expats who have left the country, just like what they're doing to Roger Ver.
Yeah.
Tariffs are paid by
It'll actually
consumers.
be turned on expats and not foreign governments.
This is what doesn't make sense to me. Is tariffs are typically paid by U.S. consumers.
Yep.
How does that point out?
I've
been figuring out that.
And there's also the IRS is still in. So when you're paying, 40+% taxes and there's tariffs, yes, that's an issue. But if there's no taxes and you just have tariffs, then you have more of like a consumption tax kind of situation.
So long as the tariffs are even,
you have a lot more spending money then, and so it changes the whole thing.
I hope so, Lisa. I hope so, Lisa.
It also brings more jobs. It brings a lot of other things.
It would also simultaneously require a downsizing of government to not be such a burden on the market.
Yes, exactly. A huge downsizing of government, which is what we need.
And you would also need for treaties to be even-handed if you wanted the treaties not to distort international marketplaces.
Yeah, which is what
I think that would be a hard impulse to resist for the policymakers.
Yeah.
So I bet we end up with the external and internal. I don't think they're going to get rid of the IRS. Yeah. It's one of the first things we're going to do is to solve and make America great is add another revenue service. Like I just
Oh my God.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I hope that their plan is a transaction tax, because then you can downsize most of the IRS. Like it could become a corner office in Treasury if we did that.
Well, Greg, a transaction tax, I used to think the same thing, but what'll happen is everyone's going to consolidate their purchases so they only have one transaction tax, and it won't work mathematically.
What we're going to do in my version
good.
of it is have the states collect, and the states are taking their cut. Like, it's the feds coming for the states' coffers that will ultimately be the transfer that takes place. The individual citizens will have no reason to have a direct relationship with the financial authority at the federal level.
That's fine. That's stop paying the Fed. Defund the Fed.
There you go. Oh, I got to make this for the family.
Oh yeah, you saw it. It's all right. I just skipped out of it.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Out of it. Yeah, it was going to be the bonus for everybody who made in their answers under 30 seconds. The meatloaf and potato cake.
Personally delivered by Joe.
So Stanley Kubrick is actually Salman Rushdie.
I had never known that. Right?
Those are both pictures of Salman Rushdie, by the way.
Oh, are they?
That's not even Stanley Kubrick, but
it's hilarious.
That's right. It is pretty funny.
Right. You're just lucky it's not Sam Hyde. So. This
if you
is
put up a picture of like
on
old,
fire by
of
my
like,
favorite
like
artist,
cancer Steve Jobs, who would look like the sort of the gaunt version of that. Kind of
I'm gonna order the print of this. I keep forgetting to do it, but I need to order the print of this, right? Anyway,
what is that?
It's the SEC building on fire. It's the guy who paints. He paints the Fed on fire. He paints all the banks on fire. I can't remember his name.
Alex.
He's brilliant.
It's Alex.
Huh.
But palm trees at the bottom.
I don't know. I've not seen. I've only been to the
Chicago
office.
If I've ever seen one.
They deposed me in the Chicago office, and then they deposed me in
They
Seattle.
have an office in Texas. Maybe it's the Texas office.
Wow, that's probably where they're working on.
Is there a Florida office? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
Wow.
Anyway,
we missed your memes, Joe. Thanks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there are plenty of people, And by the way, I don't control these memes. I just download them. I play them. I do filter some of them.
So other fun.
Usually, I don't understand them.
Did you guys see that the
go back
there's
one?
There's now research confirming that the nanoparticle lipid things that they used for the vaccine actually invades all of their body systems and it doesn't stay local.
Yeah.
Franger's dad.
And that would account for a lot of the side effects and may imply that some spikes in cancer could be related to it.
Yep. That's actually been talked about for a while. Sean, who'd you say this is?
Fraser's dad.
Fraser's dad.
Remember the show
Frasier? Yesterday, confirming.
Yeah, the show Frasier. Remember his dad?
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer.
The
guy that played his dad.
That is
that on the armchair.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's who it is. All right.
We've never known, man. Wow.
Oh, today's the Simpson prediction for no internet. Just heads up.
Oh, really?
That's what happened with the Emperor.
I'm first.
It came true.
The Emperor's not wearing close.
There you go. Andrew predicted it.
Man, there's a film from the Great Wall of China.
That's AI.
They're all holograms.
Wait, are the hands? You can always pull in the hands.
Such a beautiful wall.
Yeah, this was a good one, actually. I do like it.
Wow. That's blasphemy. You
I
can't.
want to tell you, hey, the agorists on the panel here today, tell me what the
an agorist
fascination is with Milei. And at first I was totally a fan when he first came in, but then as soon as I saw what country is he was he elected
Argentina.
To? And what was the
when
he came out of the election, he was waving the Argentinian flag, right?
Still in that positive.
Oh, wait a minute, he wasn't waving an Argentinian flag. That was odd, I thought.
He's a very big
positive,
fan of Israel.
As far as I'm concerned, man.
He's actually
this particular bit doesn't add up to the good done by popularizing all of the Austrian economists to the people of Argentina.
Oh yeah.
People are walking around with copies of Human Action.
They put someone out in front of us, and we always say, "Oh, we want that guy. We want that guy," and then we realize, "Oh shit, okay, wait a minute, kind of sucks."
Well,
right?
let's go 50-50.
Uh-huh.
The size of the government the Argentinian government has shrank dramatically under his and so if you want to look at that side of the coin, he's being very successful and balancing their budget, creating a surplus. Those,
sending all their gold overseas.
Yeah, but see there you go. This is where the other part of it is. I think there is a bow that still has to be done and made by these leaders once they get to a certain level.
I think it's obvious that U.S. influence requires this of any leader who is going to not be deposed.
I think it's the IMF.
All visit a Polish.
Oh, the IMF, but the IMF is our elites, right? It's the same group of people.
You just can't look at government as a solution. You can say, well, at least he's worked this way, and that's been successful.
By the way,
take bits and pieces.
No, I'm not talking about the government at all. I still think the best benefit he's made is popularizing the spread of those ideas.
I'm not going to move forward.
His people are reading those books and learning the truth about
this is like the second
for the first time.
This
ever.
is like this. This is like the second coming of the Chicago boys down in Chile. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same principle acting, but I mean, he's putting pressure on people in Venezuela to say, look, this model works. You can actually fix this problem if you actually stick to your principles.
Right. You just have to go with Austrian economics and shrink government drastically across the boards, regardless of what problems you think they solve.
I apologize to interrupt your guys. Actually great conversation with a discussion of this being a very well done meme for the history lovers. It's just a beautiful execution on a meme. Just take note. All right. Beautiful. It's amazing. Anyway.
Absolutely.
And also the SEC Delinda Est that we need to be pushing that. We need to salt the fields when we win this, needs to never come back. All right.
Right. Yeah. You got to cauterize the head. Otherwise the hydra just keeps getting more heads.
Yep. I don't know anything else. What else?
There's no actual proof that they salted the fields.
One
thing.
True. Yeah,
they did salt the field. That really only messes the ground up for
it doesn't matter. It's the story. It's the story and the meaning. It's a beautiful thing. So,
Aaron, what's your take on Milei?
I don't know. I don't have I haven't actually studied it enough. I mean, it certainly does seem like he's made some progress, but to what end? Where does this wind up? And so I'm going to reserve judgment. It certainly seems like he's done good things so far, but I'm going to reserve judgment.
Who was a fan of the Ian Carroll response to Elon? That was crazy. That just blew up. Like, it was amazing. I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys care, but anyway.
I didn't see it. So.
Are you kidding? Oh my God. Yeah,
he ratioed Elon significantly
by like 100x or something. I think by more than he's ever happened.
They literally are black bag operations bagmen when we need them too. Like those guys will do the dirty work for us in terms of like clandestine and undercover operations and all their data harvesting. Like if we want to do something dirty against the Constitution, they're our buddies. Because that's where most of like hackers for hire are formally held. Like the corporation that allows people to break into your device with a USB attachment, sort of stuff. That's all Israeli companies basically. That's a big tie-in. There's a tit for tat there. They hold and harbor some of the dirty stuff that we want to do.
It's the whole thing where they can send something over there.
Criminals we don't want, or harbor people we're taking for reasons that aren't justified.
Well, all this BS about Canada and Greenland. I mean, come on, what's up with that? And who's? I mean,
I think it's the showmanship. It's the showmanship of Trump. It's brilliant to divert our attention.
Or the Gulf of America.
Yeah, the Gulf of America.
That needs to happen. I like that idea.
Well, I can see the Greenland thing is that what they're trying to do is they're putting pressure Russia and China.
I'll be eating my freedom fries.
Also,
turn
Greenland
the
was
Gulf of
going
America.
to Denmark or whatever.
Yeah.
So could he just be saying, oh, he's conveniently talking about it at the same time that Greenland's actually trying to defect? It's not even about like joining America. And he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, like, you know what I mean? It was more about like Greenland saying we're breaking away from Denmark, and he's just like using it, opportunist kind of conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot like I'm sorry, I'm like in Puerto Rico. They've got a lot of internal problems financially and stuff like that, and so does Greenland. Right. So they're just going to pass the buck to us. You know, we've already got enough problems, right? So why isn't it continuing?
Well, and what if we're all going to nation states and like we are ending the Fed and oversight and all that, like especially with all this happening, the Texas thing, and you're seeing it not just, I mean, you're hearing about it in Texas, and then this stuff happening with the Oklahoma, banking stuff and the military being banked in Oklahoma, and now the Bitcoin reserve thing. Like there's just too many things like this that, and let's face it, them talking about the SEC going away, the IRS going away, all of these things are charters. They can just be defunded. They could still be there, but nobody's coming to work. So
it confluences the merging of rivers.
All right,
Gulf
guys,
of Texas. Gulf of Texas.
It could be.
Just saying.
Oh, that sounds like a good justification for the War of Texas.
If Texas wants to call it that.
All right.
You make it part of the demands.
You guys want to close out?
I call you I am. Some people call you William.
This is another brilliant one. Please be more positive. You fucking retard. This is funny. The funniest culture. Oh, brother.
Wow.
Didn't he post that himself about himself?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, and
No, actually, I think somebody posted it and he retweeted it.
Yeah, his dad posted that
they
told him that Elon was retarded. And then he said, well, they weren't wrong.
We're going to have to paint the whole thing green. So we're going to need another 20% off. These are pretty funny.
Greenland's got a lot of minerals and wealth.
They do.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes
from. Here's another interesting thing to talk about that we haven't touched on yet: the fire.
Oh, we talked.
What do you guys make of the fire?
That is probably fake stuff. It's fake news, right?
Mismanagement. One word: mismanagement.
Yeah.
I think it's probably almost
intentional mismanagement, probably. I don't know. Do they want the property the same way they wanted a Hawaiian property and the lithium property in North Carolina? I don't know. Who knows, right? It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
We also need.
Well, Joe, I think we better close out.
We need to add the moon state.
Close out.
30 seconds.
Okay, let's start with Lisa. What's going on this week?
What's going on this week? A lot of the same old, but good stuff every day over on Litecoin Lisa on YouTube, and check out the Mighty Lair this week for an amazing post from the Emperor I Am. Sean and I did a show. We multi-streamed, so make sure you check out both of our channels for that show. And then I will have my happy hour show on Friday with Clint Westwood, and I believe I'm doing a show this evening with Johnny Litecoin, talking about the most transactions on, I can't remember now, I'm blanking. Anyway, Litecoin was the most used for transactions on, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I'll stay tuned, and I'll let you know tonight on my channel.
Right on. Greg.
Okay, so actually, you guys can come hang out with me and Aaron this evening at 8, where we'll be talking about the Dragon Chain case, and I'm excited to. And I'd say also probably the broader regulatory space post Chevron, and some other really interesting things are probably going to come up. yeah, I hope you guys can make it, and hope other people.
Where's that going to be?
They'll be on Aaron's show. I'll be resharing it on X, and I'm sure he'll be sharing it on X, and we can get it out that way.
Right. Speaking of which, Aaron.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say tune in tonight at 8:00 Eastern time. It'll be on X. It'll also be on Rumble and YouTube, and then ultimately it'll be an audio version on iTunes and Spotify as well. So very, very excited about that.
Excellent. All right, Sean.
Check us out on Tuesdays, Virtual Tuesday. I'm on X. Check out my channel. That's about it.
Right on. And Drew.
Me and Zach have recorded an episode for tomorrow. Unfortunately, won't be able to be live tomorrow, but in the coming week, we'll be back to our normal schedule. So come check us out. You know where to find us. It's at AICon90 for me, and Legacy Zach for Zach. Looking forward to keep doing this. So.
Excellent. Nice. William.
Well, I posted the introduction to the Emperor last night on my channel, but if you want to find it, go to din.social, go to the Din DAO layer, and you will see it there. I'm encouraging people, I'm routing them there, even though it's also on X and YouTube. And I'm excited for the future for din.social and what we can do to change the world and have a different legacy. So if you want to learn more about how I became an emperor, a bona fide, unanimously voted, unopposed, go watch the video that I did last night. And kudos to Lisa. We had a fun show these last 2 Mondays talking about drones, top secret. And Aaron, thank you for allowing me on your show last Thursday night as well.
Yeah, that was great.
Yep. And for me, we lost somebody. Who did we lose? And for me, I do believe that I'm on Aaron's show tonight also. And it's at 8 Eastern, Greg. Yeah, 8 Eastern. So I will be there as well. So that should be fun and super interesting. And otherwise, go read the Dracaria white paper if you have time on your hands. Hopefully that'll be out soon. We're getting to the final touches of testing and rollout. And there's still a little left, and it's hard to predict the timing on that because we're more interested in making sure everything's right than the timeline. So I had a lot of pressure to get it out before the end of the Year of the Dragon, but it might happen, it might not. It's hard to say, but it'll be an amazing thing. So
it's just going to make the second Year of the Dragon happen for the first time ever.
Exactly.
Snakes are technically little dragons. So.
Right on. What should I exit with? What do you guys want to see on the way out? Let's see here.
Dracaria video.
Okay, right on. Got it. First, let's see here. Where's it at? Okay, we'll just do that. It's a very fast one. So hopefully I get everybody turned off before it comes back. All right.
See ya.
So see you guys
Thanks
next
for
week.
watching.
Thanks a bunch. Bye.
Bye.